Today we're going to be making some Sicilian polpette, and this is a classic dish that I grew up with that my mum used to make all the time. And in Sicily, they don't eat a lot of meat, but they would certainly make this recipe if there was some leftover meat, and also if there was some stale bread, because they would make breadcrumbs out of it. So let's start. So what I've got here is some pork and minced veal. And we'll place that into a bowl. But before I do that, I think this is one where I'll take my rings off because we don't want mince in my rings. So we're going to add the meat into the bowl. And pork and veal's a really lovely combination. But for example, if you don't want pork, then by all means, replace it with all veal, or maybe some minced beef is fine too. So to the mince, we're going to add some seasonings, and we will start with some breadcrumbs. I always like to flavour mine with some beautiful pecorino pepato cheese, which we use in everything. Some minced garlic. Some chopped up parsley. Some lemon rind, and you can vary this. It doesn't have to be like I'm showing you now. You can add your own twist to it. I do like the lemon in this, and the garlic really gives it a lovely lift. As a binding agent, we will add some egg, and then some salt and pepper for seasoning. This is a great weeknight meal, very tasty weeknight meal. A little bit of salt, and we're going to get our hands right in there. I certainly wouldn't be mixing this with a spoon. We want to make sure that everything's nicely combined. This is a great recipe for meatballs with sauce. I might omit the lemon rind if I was putting this in sauce, but the rest of the ingredients hold quite well. It's always good to really mix the protein together, and once it starts coming together, it gets a little bit sticky, which is exactly what we want. So that's the mince all ready to go. So now we're going to make the meatballs, and it's always nice to wet your hands a little bit when you're preparing the meatballs. We're going to add a little bit of flour to it, and we're going to have our fry pan ready. And the first thing we're going to do here is warm up the olive oil, and we'll add the meatballs as we go along. So some really good olive oil. So now we're going to make a few meatballs. Just wet our hands just a little bit. About a walnut size piece, but look, you could make them as little or big as you want. My mum used to make them as flat meatballs as well. You can always grill these in a griller. Today we're going to fry them and deglaze them on the pan. If you don't want the plain flour, you could omit that. You could also remove the breadcrumbs if you wanted to as well. These meatballs take about 4 to 5 minutes on each side. We want to make sure they're cooked through because we're going to be serving them straight away. And because we're going to be deglazing the pan with a little bit of white wine, we're adding the plain flour just to act as a sauce. These are also nice the next day at room temperature. So you just continue this process until all the meatballs are done, and then we keep cooking. So these have been cooking now for probably a good 10 minutes, and it's always good to cut one open just to make sure that the mince is cooked inside. So we'll do that now. Oh, yeah, we're almost there. And I'm going to taste a cooked bit just for seasoning. I think it just might need a little bit more salt. So let's pour a little bit more on the top. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to deglaze the pan with a little bit of white wine, just to add another element of flavour. You could skip this step completely, but I do like the flavour of the wine in there. So let's do that. Woo! And then we'll cook that down a little bit more, and that'll pretty much finish the cooking process. Smells amazing. So we're done, and these are my gorgeous Sicilian polpette.